Okay, you guys, here we go. Betsy, it is time. That was like the longest last minute we were waiting ever. It's like
Totally.
59, 59.
Awesome.
All right, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, you guys. We are here for another EduLaunch party. I can't even believe it. These are so much fun. They are my most favorite thing that I do for EduMatch by far. And we get to be here for Betsy's launch of AGI and the Thought Compass. So I'm so excited about this. Why don't you just give us a little bit about yourself, Betsy?
Sure. I'm a school counselor in East Meadow, Massachusetts. I'm also a mom of 3 boys. And, we live in the same town that I counsel in. So it's a community that's a big part of my heart, which, we'll get around to talking about a little bit. So my life is my work and my work is my life kind of thing.
All right, awesome. And so we're going to, we have all the things going on today. We have guests coming in and we have questions, and you're doing an author read, which is always my favorite part. And so we're just going to jump into one of the questions. And the very first one that we have is, how did you even decide to write this book?
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's range my time here. I wanted some way to I'm sorry, am I cutting out?
A little bit. I didn't know if it was me. So
sorry about that. Okay. So I just wanted a way to convey with kids a little bit about their thought process and about their thoughts and how they connect so much to what they're feeling. And so it's really hard. Like, thoughts are these intangible things, right? So when we start to talk about them, it's a hard thing to really explain. So I wanted something that was a catalyst for talking about thoughts and explaining them in a way that was kid friendly, and a lot of images that kids see in their minds, right, are really the things that they think of are images, instead of necessarily having voices and things like that. So it's really something that needed to be very heavily drawn out. So I appreciate that Manuel Herrera was able to kind of follow my crazy thoughts, which way went one way in that.
Well, knowing him, his thoughts go that way too. So it was.
Oh, it was amazing. Oh my goodness.
That's amazing. So, and we do have him coming on in a little bit, so that's exciting. You'll be able to talk to him, but tell us a little bit about the characters, because I know you've mentioned to me the characters are really kind of special. I mean, everybody thinks their characters are special, but yours have sort of this way that they're sort of weaved into your life. So tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. And actually, really, Aggie, I'll start with the main character first. Aggie, the idea for Aggie's name came from the word imagination, because when you piece it apart, I'm Aggie Nation is like the first part of the book, and we'll get to that in a second when I read it. But so Aggie was going to be Aggie's name because imagination personified was going to be this child, and we kind of did it from, or I did it from the first person perspective, so that any child could look at Aggie and be like, that could be me. So Aggie really has like a variety of different interests and things like that, and so it also brings about some good discussions with kids afterwards about like who they thought the main character was, and they're able to put their own identities into the character. We try to make it as like neutral as possible for children to be able to identify with Aggie. So there's like lots of different themes in the book, in the pictures and things. So I hope that kids really enjoyed that. But then there's Blaze, who's also the thought trainer who's in the book, and there was a special piece about this. There's a family in town, they're the Blazes, and I said, I work and I live in the same town, and they're really a beautiful, beautiful family. And a few years ago, their oldest son was diagnosed with brain cancer, and just walking with that family through that journey, they were super inspiring. And then the boy's name is Alex Blaze. Alex's uncle spoke of him at his funeral, and talked about what an inspiration he was, how he used his imagination to really still connect with kids, and play with them, no matter how sick he got, he was always able to use that imagination. So I was like in the process of creating this book, and I had a different character in mind, and I was like, no, it's got to be him.
Oh,
So I reached out to his
amazing.
mom, and I was like, is it okay if he's a part of this? And she shared with me recently that he really wanted to be an author of books. So it's really special that he's
Oh my
actually a part
gosh,
of the book.
that is amazing. That's like, yeah, I'm doing all the girly things right now with the hands and the trying not to cry. I know. Thank you for that. Yeah, that is awesome.
They're amazing. So his name is Blaze because his sisters are just as amazing as he is. So he needed to be all of them.
Sure, that is awesome. Any of the other characters that have some of those special connections?
So there's not really, like, there's these two characters that really, Aggie has a tricky imagination and has some trouble, like can get lost in it, can have some big feelings because of it. And really it's the connection with Aggie and Blaze that is the catalyst for the story.
Okay. All right. That is, I love I love both the stories, but the Blaze story is amazing as well. So, so I love that. So I think what we're actually going to do, because he's just a little early and he looks like he's busy, but we're going to pull him in anyway, because he's a big part of this.
Oh, he's a huge part of this.
Yeah.
This wouldn't work if it wasn't for his illustration.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce this guy?
Oh my goodness. Hello, Manuel Herrera.
Hey, how are you?
So good to see you. Hey, we have a book. We have a book.
I know, we're done. It's done. It's like we can hold it, we can look at it. Yeah, I'm super, super excited about it all.
That's awesome.
You were able to totally keep up with me through this whole process, and I appreciate that, because I think, and I've explained this to Manuel before, Mandy, like his visual thinking and his sketchnoting stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a perfect fit for trying to talk to kids about the intangible thoughts and trying to make them something that was tangible. And you did it, man. Like, it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why don't you talk a little bit about the book from your perspective and how the story came together?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We already talked about it.
Yeah. Betsy came to me. I was super excited just when Betsy, contacted me and called me and kind of gave the story to me to look over and read. And I thought it was, just interesting, like just because of the connections with my own kids, connections of me when I was young, kind of doing the same kind of thing, mind wandering. How do I control that? Having support from someone. So yeah, I love the story. The story was it was great. It was a fantastic story. And, the next piece for me was to figure out what is this going to look like? How is this going to come together? This is the first book that I've actually kids illustrated, kids book that I've illustrated. And yeah, just going through that process, coming with ideas. I think, like Betsy said, I sketched out some things really quickly and kind of listened to her as she kind of explained things. And I drew what I thought she was saying, what I thought she was thinking. There were some colors involved. There was imagery that was involved. And, in the end, I have a notebook full of ideas. And so then I had to sit and try to organize those all and kind of go back to the story and reread the story a few times. So yeah, it was taking that and trying to stay true to what Betsy wanted and the story she was trying to tell. And at the same time, kind of having some creative freedom to kind of add my own ideas into it. That's fun. That's hard. It's a tough thing. It's easy for me to draw for myself. Because I like everything I draw. I guess when you draw,
I like everything you draw too.
Yeah, I would say I do too. So
yeah,
but I'm sure you're biased.
It's very different. It's a very different process to take someone else's idea and bring that to life. So Betsy was great. I mean, we went back and forth on a lot of different things, and I think every time it just got better. Something inspired me in this way, or something inspired Betsy, or it was when we did the compass. I remember when we did the actual compass. That was a kind of we had some conversations around the compass, and then in the end, Betsy sent me a picture of what she actually uses, and that it was okay. Now I'm taking this real physical object and making it into an illustration, kind of again with my own spin, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and I know, I mean, obviously, as long as I've known you, you've been super creative, and but your eldest son, is it Grayson? right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is super
Great.
creative as well, right? It's very theatrical and does all those kinds of things. So were you able to draw any inspiration from him, or?
Yeah. So once we kind of solidified some things, I did. It's just natural as a parent. You think about your kids. You're writing a book about a child, and Grayson. It's interesting because there's, for my own, I guess in my own head, there's little Easter eggs within the book of just for me, for my own children, like things that inspired me with them. And I don't know if we're going to talk about those, or at some point we'll reveal those as we go, but absolutely. Gray being my most kind of creative son, we've had conversations about books that he wants to write, or books that he'd like to illustrate, or just ideas just from his experiences in school. So taking those out and putting them into the book are a lot of fun, and then kind of hiding them. So
I want to know what your Easter eggs are.
yeah, it's a lot of, and he would also, both him and Hudson, I would show them like what I drew and ask. And so they would see stuff in the book, like, oh, that's, such and such. I'm like, yep, that's where I got that. So for them to even see it, know why it's there, is really cool. And that scores some dad points.
Well, I think you have to tell us at least one.
Well, this is interesting. One of them is, when we originally came with some sketches, and I posted these yesterday online just to kind of show the process of coming up with Aggie. We talked about Aggie, what they might look like, what they might be wearing, and I thought I had a pretty good idea. And I think literally at the last second, right before I sent it to Betsy, is like, I wanted a hat on them. I think they had a hat, and so I said, okay, my kids used to wear this hat all the time when they were kids. So my oldest, Grayson, wore it. It's a winter hat, and then my youngest, once he got too old or too big to wear it, my youngest wore it. And it was just something that it sticks out. And so at the last minute, I put the hat on Aggie, and the feedback I got from Betsy and I believe her son was fantastic. And it was literally like a last second ad. And so it's kind of cool to see that throughout the book and know that that's a hat, that my kids wore. And that was the first thing they noticed when I showed them different drawings. With like, oh yeah, that's the hat that we have, and we still have it, and we was here at the house, and I had to look at it, and I don't even know what came to me at the last second, but I was like, I'm gonna put this on there, and so that's kind of for them, that little hat throughout the book, for them.
Yeah, very cool. That is awesome. I'm so glad that you were able to put those little pieces in there. That's fantastic. Yeah. So any other thoughts about the book that you have?
No, it's a great book. Coming up with the colors, coming up with the kind of the palette of everything was a lot of fun to work through. And what emotions are we trying to create as someone reads this book, was a lot of fun. Again, it's, taking Betsy's ideas and putting those on paper and making them look realistic, and yet there's imaginary scenes in the book. And so kind of making those happen without making it look like it's a dream, how do I make that look like a dream? And again, these were Betsy's ideas, and these were incredible just to get to run with those and create, for her. But in the end, the story is just fantastic. And I think right now, what everything is happening with schools and just the world around us, I think a lot of our kids are caught up in these thoughts and these ideas, and having something as a resource to help them process through that in ways, even help parents process with their kids. It's an unfortunate time, but yet this is, it was kind of a good timing for what we put out. So I think it's awesome. Great.
So Betsy, tell me a little bit about what audience is this geared towards? Like what grade, what to what, and kind of kids who do specific things, or is it just blanket across the board?
I would say kids across the board. It's a social emotional learning tool. I had overthinkers in mind. So any kid who fits that category, which
I'm sure no educator can relate to that.
Overthinkers and kids who experience anxiety. And since we all overthink sometimes and we all experience anxiety sometimes, it's for all of us. And then also kindergarten, first grade, I would say even preschool, kindergarten, first and second. This would be a good book for. And your first graders can probably read it independently. We tried to make it so that the language was kid friendly, and some of my supplemental materials that I have on my website definitely explain a little bit more from the adult perspective, like the extra things you could do with this tool.
Awesome.
But Manuel, you got on the phone with me and spent like hours trying to understand where this is coming from. Like, I need to give you so much credit because the fact
I just draw pictures.
I was like breathless the first time I saw the first layout with the purple scene, and I'll show that in a minute. But it was just amazing how you took my ideas and your ideas, because we were like, oh, our kids do this and they do that, and like, wouldn't it be so fun if we did this? Just like the total excitement you took to it, but then like your creative genius that you put out onto the paper. It's beautiful, and I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely, thank you. Sorry, we're high-fiving each other. It was so much fun. I couldn't have worked with someone so easy, so much who we just understood what was going on. Like we did, it just flowed really, really well. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
We appreciate you knocking on her party door and celebrating with us. And thank you so much for all of the work that you put into the book as well. We really appreciate that.
Well, you guys take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so that was fun.
Yes.
I love talking to the illustrators. We don't always get to talk to them, but it's such a fun process to listen to. And Sarah says she's high-fiving y'all too, because we love the book, we love the illustrations, we love the story, we love everything about it. So
high five, Sarah.
Yeah, high five, virtual high five. It's the only kind we can do now.
Right.
I know. But we're not going to talk about that. We're only going to talk about happy things. So we're going to go on to, so tell us a little bit. So we talked about the characters. Tell us a little bit about the thought compass and what that represents. You guys talked about an actual compass. So what is that about?
I'm going to pick up one of these things over here. I actually, I had to clean out my office, and I had a couple that were left over because throughout this year, I was kind of like including some of my kiddos in the whole process of creating the book. And we were walking through some of the different steps and some of the different teaching tools that I was using. So this is actually one of the things that Manuel was talking about. This is like a handcrafted compass from one of my kids.
Very cool.
So, but the idea of the compass is, and it's in the book a little bit clearer than this, but these actually mean a whole lot to my kids. Like once we go over it and we talk about like how, if you think about kids and they love to play with tangible things and create their own tangible things. And Aggie in the book, we tried to create Aggie as a maker. So like Aggie likes to make different things, right? So thinking about kids as makers, to be able to have that thing that they've made in their hands so that they can use it as kind of like, if you were teaching math, you would have a manipulative, right? So if you're teaching something that's more cerebral and cognitive, it's hard to really think about that unless you have something that you can manipulate first. So the compass is supposed to be their cognitive manipulative. So on the top, where you would have north, that would be imagined, and down south is where the real realm is. To the right, which where east would point, is where things would be helpful, and to the other side is where things are not helpful. And so you can have thoughts that are real and not helpful, and that's really kind of like a clue that, and this is more of the adult stuff. The book doesn't go too deep into this like I'm going to right now, but a counselor or an adult who works with a child or reads to the child could talk with them about it if they are an overthinker. The book is also awesome without going this deep into it. But this is the tool that I was hoping to share with everyone. So if it's not helpful and it's real, well, you want to do something about it, right? Because if it's something, and you have a huge background in mental health and advocating for people to really speak up, right? When something's not helpful and it's real. And so that's a clue to you that if a thought keeps coming up and it's something like that, to ask for help or to be able to do something to help yourself. Now, if it's imagined and not helpful, which can happen sometimes, I often have in my K-2 school, I have a lot of worriers who imagine the worst about school, or they imagine the worst about certain things, and to teach them that thoughts aren't always real and they're not always something that you need to entertain, but also that you have some power over those thoughts. Like if they show up, you have some power to be able to do some different things, to be able to take control of them. And so sometimes I'll be like, okay, so where on your thought compass is that thought? and they're able to identify where it is. Now, you could have a real and helpful thought, and that's where you want to be when you're learning, right? You want to be engaged in class. You want to be thinking about what that teacher is saying up in front of you. And you can also have imagined and helpful thoughts, which are super fun to have, right? If you're outside playing with your friends at recess, or you're just imagining things that you want to create and write. But then also, I like to point out, there's like almost this little spot in between imagined and helpful and real and helpful. And that would be where we come up with our best ideas, and then we're able to put them together. So like what Manuel and I were just talking about, where I was like, oh, I'm all cerebral up here, and I'm imagining that this is what it's going to look like. And he was taking it and he was making it real. And so that is like that creative process. That's where that all lines up. So I like to point all of these different pieces out to kids, because what we really want is to be on this helpful side. And how do we get there? And that's where you're going to do your best learning. So that's the Thought Compass.
I love that so much. I can't even stand it. I love it so much. So, I mean, I'm thinking about all the things as a teacher I could do with this Thought Compass. Like, I could have kids make their own thought compasses that maybe go around their neck that they could use as a reminder. I could make thought compasses that are like, well, one, we're actually in a brick and mortar school, that are actually put on a desk, like a name tag, where kids could use it to kind of, if they're starting to overthink, or starting to get frustrated, or starting to zone out, or starting to do those things, that they could actually refer back to their thought compass. Like, there's a ton of things that teachers could create with this as visual reminders of the book.
Yes, and I would love for it to be that the adult just says, so where is it and where do you want it to be? Like, where do you want it to go?
Sure.
And how are you going to get it there? And to be able to give like those different skills in between.
Sure.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that is amazing. I love that concept so much, because I think of how many times I would use the thought compass in a day.
I do this a lot, especially right now. I'm like, okay, where am I right now?
Yeah.
Very helpful.
In the middle of a pandemic, the world's going crazy. Like, we could use the thought compass.
Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely. So that's awesome. So we have a couple more guests that are knocking at your door. And so we're going to go ahead and bring those in. And I'm so excited to talk to Lee and Valerie. So we are going to bring them in here. Hey, ladies.
Oh, I love that.
How are you?
Oh, Lee, you're...
Lee, I think you're muted.
I love what you're saying, but I don't know what it is.
There you go.
Of course.
Right.
We were just texting in the background saying how proud we were of you, Betsy, and how just amazing this whole book and everything is. So,
thank you.
You're my thought compass, so
thank you. You always help me for the helpful realm of things.
Oh, that's so sweet.
No, I text Betsy those things.
So tell me a little bit, and I don't know who. Lee, I think that I'm having some issues hearing you. Is anybody else? Or is that just me?
I can hear her.
Oh, okay. Then it's just me. I can't hear you, so I apologize. I can't. One of you wants to start. It doesn't matter who. What did you guys take out of this book, or what do you know of Betsy's work that really resonates with you? Like, what can you say about that?
I can go first.
Oh, either way.
Okay. Actually, now I can hear you. I don't know what happened. Okay, now I gotcha. Okay.
So Betsy and I know each other on a personal level, education level, and now author level. So it's really cool to see what's happened over the years. There we go. She's always my go-to person for things that come up personally in my life with my young kids, and the thoughts and the feelings that they've navigated over the years. I've always gone to her like, is this normal, or is this something that should be happening with my kids? And she's always been that person to go to for that. And then as an educator, she's worked with students that I work with, and we just do a really nice job collaborating. She's always so helpful, and just what you listened to before we got on, she really knows how to dive into kids' thoughts and feelings, and how to navigate it with them. And we have very much the same mindsets with a lot of things. So it's really great to work with her as a counselor at school, because I'm a kindergarten teacher at the same school.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Very
yes.
cool.
So I should have prefaced that before. But yes, so I'm a kindergarten teacher at a K-2 school, and she is the guidance counselor at that school. So we've definitely worked with many students together, and it's so cool to watch just the way that she navigates through feelings and thoughts and all of that with her students and my students. And then over the last year for the book, it's been an awesome journey, because I remember over a year ago, it was like a year and a half ago now, we went to the SCBWI conference, and that's the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators. And she was telling me about the story. She had the story started. She had a couple sketches going, and it's so cool to remember back to that moment when she was sharing those with me to now, because I've seen the process with her, and I have seen the book, and it is phenomenal. I mean, and I'm so happy too that her and Manuela got together, because they are just like a dream team. Like everything that I think that she had in her head got on the pages visually. So, and the story is just amazing. And once again, she knows how to connect with like community and her students, and bringing in Blaze is such like a powerful thing. Yeah. And it just encompasses everything that Betsy is. So I'm so proud. Yay.
Valerie Sousa, that is so sweet. Thank you so much.
That Blaze connection. So do you know the family as well then?
I actually came into town, I changed districts, so I don't know the family well, but I know of the family and the story.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. Lee, how about you?
Oh, Val now, my goodness. Like I said, Betsy is my thought compass. She's my bus duty buddy who has to listen to me all the time. Wear the crazy headgear for every holiday that we have. And I am lucky enough to know her on so many levels. So as a colleague, I'm a math coach in the same building, but also as a friend. And then she also helps my daughter so much, who got to preview this book as it was going. We have a well-loved compass at home that actually accidentally got washed because my daughter had her shorts, and I didn't realize it when I washed them. This book, I read it with my daughter today. She insisted that she read it to me. She didn't want me to experience it without her. I can see her in so many levels of it. Betsy has helped me better understand my daughter, and help navigate her anxiety and her big feelings. And we bring up the compass when she's having those really big feelings. I'll just say, where is that on your compass? Now, it's so easy as a parent to be able just to have that one thing to go to, rather than me just talk. And her not be able to kind of process all of that. So Betsy having this compass as a mom is crucial, and for kids. And then even for adults, I feel like this book has had amazing timing in a not so great way with the world right now. But I feel like as an adult, thinking about that book and reading it and the feelings, and I usually use you as my compass to soundboard things. I text you big feelings and you text me back, is that falling in the real things that you can handle right now, or kind of go to the happy place. So I think even as adults, we can kind of use this compass to think about as the anxiety that I'm feeling that I've never felt before as an adult. And I'm like, oh, is that something that I really need to focus on right now? Is it so big and real, but not something that's going to help me? Or do I need to focus on the real feelings that I can control and that are more positive? So I feel like this book, you launched it at the perfect time.
That is awesome.
The illustrations too. I'm a visual person, and I was telling Betsy, I go to picture books just based off of the pictures sometimes, not even what they're about. And this pulled in both of those when I've been hearing this throughout the process, because Val and Betsy are both dear to me. So I've been able to hear them kind of play all these thoughts throughout their processes, and to see those pictures, it really it was a perfect match, like Val said, a match made in heaven there. It's perfect. So happy. I'm so happy for you.
So Lee, when I said, who's what audience is this for? And she said, well, K2 or maybe, preschoolers and that kind of thing. You're actually saying it's for parents, and like not only the parents for their kids, but the parents for the adults that are also running the household. So you think it spans further than just education?
Yeah, for sure. And even, I would say even older than second graders. And my daughter's going into third, she's not technically a third grader yet, but just the conversations that you're allowed to have, like when you stop in the book. So my daughter was reading it to me, like we would stop and I'd say, so like, have you ever had those feelings before? Like, what's one of those feelings? And she actually said to me tonight, she's like, well, I used to have them a lot more, but now I kind of don't as much. And I know when to move myself out of those feelings, which was like, huge.
Wow. Mic drop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Betsy is a huge reason why that she can say those things today.
Very, very cool. That is a huge, huge endorsement to be able to have, going into third grader say, hey, I read this book and it actually changed the way I think about my emotions. Like how many times, that's ideally what we're looking for in any SEL book. And so that's really fantastic. And the fact that as adults that we get to internalize that as we read it to the children, that's fantastic as well. So ladies, it's been so great talking to you. I so appreciate you coming on and knocking at the door as well. And Betsy, do you have anything to say?
I just want to say thank you. And Lee, please thank your student so much, because I would let her lead a group at this point. She's amazing.
She may be watching in the other room because she loves you so much.
Well, tell her I would let her come back and help me lead things when we're all ready.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Aw, I love that. I love that Lee brought it into like the personal side of it too, because, I think as educators, we get kind of caught up in talking about how this will work in schools. And we forget that there's a whole bunch of people out there that have kids and that these books can just work for them too. Yeah. Especially when a lot of parents are teaching their kids right now. And so, and wondering, how are you going to do that? This would be a fantastic book for that. And I wanted to just read it. Your sister Kelly said, I can't wait for my book to arrive on September 8th. So she's counting the days. Betsy has dedicated her life to helping others navigate through their lives successfully. I couldn't be prouder to call her my sister. So that is very sweet as well.
See, we couldn't have her on as a guest, otherwise I would totally be waterworks.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
And hi, Mom. Sorry.
Mom's watching too. That's amazing. So I think that, my gosh, you've had such amazing guests so far. So that's really exciting. We still have 2 more guests coming up. And we're just going to go back to those questions a little bit that we had started, because I really want to hear more about the book. And so we sort of talked about the Thought Compass itself, but what other ideas or tools or lessons, do you have anything that resources that people can access?
Yes, and I have those posted on my website, which is BetsyO'Neill-Sheehan.com. And so Manuel had said that the blue hat was really important to him, and I thought it was amazing how we needed to incorporate this into the book. But I have this here because one of the printouts I have on online would be to go in and do a little bit of a story hunt with a couple of the different features that he added into the book. And one of them was the blue hat and how it matches Aggie's feelings in different parts of the book.
That's awesome.
A fun feature that kids really enjoy, but it's a good catalyst for talking about feeling spaces and empathy. And what do you notice in different people's faces? What are their facial expressions? What do their eyes do? What do their mouths do? And you can find it in the hat. You can find it in Aggie as well. And then also we had this idea of a balloon, and I apologize because my printer is running low with the whole.
Oh no, they always are. I feel like.
But I'm going to show it anyway because I needed to juxtapose some of the different pieces in the story. We have a balloon that represents Aggie's thoughts, and so just to get a little nerdy about it, if we have a thought or a feeling that isn't bothering us so much, or is kind of fun, we don't even really notice that it's there. We're just kind of with it, right? Like we just kind of carry it around with us. But sometimes it can get a little out of control and start to take us away with it. And then in like the climax of the story, we have Aggie like really taken away with thoughts. And that red balloon really is to show like the measurement of a thought. So we want kids to be able to know like the magnitude of their feelings. So is it something that you can just carry around with you and you don't really notice it because it's just pretty chill to have? Or is it something that's kind of starting to take you away? Or is it something that's really, really huge and it's got you and you're kind of going with it, not it's going with you? And so in that case, you really have to take care of it. But sometimes you get so swept up in that, right? Like kids have a hard time even, first of all, noticing it and recognizing it, and then being able to do something about it. And so what this book is supposed to have help with the conversation of how do we slow that down? How do we make it so that you feel like you're in control of the thought instead of the thought's in control of you?
Okay. Yeah. And I think, again, I think you need to write a PD book because I think that's something that a lot of adults have a hard time with. And sometimes I think our students have a hard time with it because not adults haven't necessarily mastered that skill either. And, I hear you talking a little bit about being able to match the face with the emotion. So is this something that would also be appropriate for students with autism who have a hard time kind of recognizing what emotions might look like or social cues or things like that?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, right, like our kiddos who have autism, they do get so lost in their own thoughts. And so to recognize that they have theirs and then for other people to have theirs too. So to be able to kind of look at this book and say, okay, we're looking at someone else's thoughts, but like how Lee was bringing it back to, she was able to ask her daughter, okay, so when you feel this way, what are the thoughts you're having? You know, we tried not to put too much of like what the specific thoughts were so that kids could interpret their own selves into the book. But then also you could do that perspective taking too, right? Okay, so this other person has, you know, this perspective. Aggie went through this. So you can kind of see how you step outside of your own self to think about other people's thoughts.
Sure. It's the empathy piece and all of that kind of thing too. Yeah. And I really liked how Lee said too, you know, she said, when I asked my daughter, have you had that emotion? Like sometimes we forget what it's like to be a kid and all of those big emotions packed into such a little body, you know, and so being able to ask those questions and confirm that maybe it is, you know, is the way that they're feeling gives adults the words to be able to use with kids too, which I think is important. So that's amazing. I love it. We have so many awesome comments going on. You know, we have Alice, and she said, this sounds like a must-have book for all children. And again, I'm going to add and adults because I think I know I could use reading it.
The short refresher, really.
What?
It's a brief refresher.
Right. No doubt. I'm going to start. Next time you see me, I'm going to be carrying my thought compass. I swear. And so, so we have a couple minutes before your doorbell is going to be ringing again. And what I would love to do, my absolute favorite part, is the author reading. So can we do that now?
Absolutely, sure.
Awesome.
So I'm trying to figure out this camera here because I want to be able to hold it up and show you at the same time.
It's the trickiest part of the entire party for everybody.
So I have my proof copy. So it has a little bit of a little banner on top of it. But here's Aggie and the Thought Compass, and I'm so excited to share it with y'all. So it does have in the beginning here a special note for educators and families, and there is a QR code that will bring you right to my website that has right into the lessons part. That I have a video that explains a little bit more if somebody hasn't seen tonight, explaining again how to go through some of these activities like the Thought Compass, and there's actually a thought mapping activity too.
Very cool.
So let's get to it. Okay, so here's where I gasped, right? Like I got this picture and I was like, That's me. That's my thoughts right there. Oh my God. Okay, so hi, I'm Aggie Nation. Sometimes I get lost in my imagination. When you have a world so big inside your head, it's easy to get lost. Sometimes it feels like my thoughts are floating or planted on the ground. I see what is real. I feel what is real. Other times, I feel my thoughts floating away. This is like me in a nutshell. In my imagination, I can travel on exciting adventures, dream of my future, or visit fond memories. California, here we come. But sometimes I think the worst. I see the worst. I feel the worst. My imagination spins out of control. So that's where I would pause and kind of be like, okay, how do you feel when things feel like that? Or what would your thoughts be in there? When my parents saw the world I was in, they took me to Scoops to meet a new friend. They said, sometimes it's good to share your thoughts, look at things differently, and learn the strengths you've got. I'm Aggie Nation, I told him. Sometimes I get lost in my imagination. I'm Blaze, a thought trainer, he said. Knowing you are lost is the first step in finding your way back. How did you become a thought trainer? I asked. Well, he said, it took some practice and it took some time, but I can try anything when I wonder in my mind. I imagine running, playing, flying. I can even make myself a superhero, the bravest and funniest kind. Sometimes my thoughts make me feel worried, angry, or sad. I listen and steer them to more helpful ones that I have. I use my thought compass. Want to try it? He asked. I do. Hold it in your hand and you'll have control. Hold it in your hand and you'll learn to control and guide your thoughts where you want them to go. Breathe in, out, out. Start here to calm your big feelings down. So there's our compass there. Then find where you are in the thought that you're in. Is it real or imagined? Is it helpful or not? Once you know where you are, you can plan your way out. And again, here, there's awesome little tidbits. I'm sure there's Easter eggs in that picture there.
Probably.
And then this is my focus too. Find 3 things around you that are real in your space. Look around you. What is real? What do you see, smell, feel, taste? Where are your thoughts now? Blaze asked. My thoughts are here, now, with you, I replied. We have to practice, said Blaze. Tell me about a thought you get lost in a lot. I felt it come in like a dark summer storm. I got so lost in thought, I forgot how to talk. Then I heard Blaze's voice echo on the wind. You have the control. Tell your thoughts where you want them to go. Remembering the compass I had in my hand, I blew the wind in, out, out, until I felt the storm calm down. This thought is unhelpful. It is not real. I control my thoughts. I control how I feel. Then I saw his wheelchair, then his green shirt, then his face. And I felt the comfort of a friend who was real in my space. Aggie, you did it, said Blaze. You used your thought compass. Practice and you will guide your imagination. I keep my compass handy to navigate the mysteries in my mind. Sometimes I let myself get a little lost, but I know how to find my way out. I'm Aggie Nation, and my imagination is me. Sometimes I wander and wonder, but now I control what I think.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I love it so much. And I mean, the illustrations are amazing, but so the story is phenomenal, you know? And I think that in so many ways, kids are going to be able to relate to the idea of getting lost in your thoughts and to having some of those, you know, like negative or scared thoughts that they might get, you know, those kind of like rabbit hole type thoughts that we know as an adult are difficult to let go of. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It is a phenomenal book. And a lot of people are saying, you know, Melody says absolutely beautiful. And those illustrations are awesome. And Facebook user says, you know, like love it. And so many, you know, Sarah, our fearless leader says, yay. Because I know how much she loves this book too. And so thank you so much for doing that reading. It's I always feel honored when authors are willing to read their books. So that's fantastic. So we are going to bring in, you've another person kind of knocking at your door. So we are going to bring in Dr. Joy here.
Hey,
Dr. Joy, how are you?
how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you.
How are you, Lynelle?
Good, I'm wonderful. So honored to be here. So proud of this work. When I read it, I was like, brilliant and hard. You know, just all in one. I was like, this person is just so brilliant and just has this heart that we need in schools. And let's forget the kids for a minute. I needed this book. Because be selfish. Don't forget about the kids. We're not talking about the kids, we're talking about me, because it's only been like maybe the last 5 years that I really have, or 5 years or more, that I really thought about my thinking and how much I stay in the unhelpful and imagine. And, you know, the stories we tell ourselves as adults. Yep. You know, always think about like simple things, like we're going to an elevator and somebody cuts in front of us and we like tell all these stories about why they did it, you know. And so this book was like, man, I wish I would have had a shorter version before I read all those psychology books. This was just so helpful. It's such a beautiful book. It's brilliant.
Thank you so much.
And I love how I'm sorry. Sometimes Sarah and I joke about how we should start to create like adult-focused children's books, and this might have to be our first one, like our first. Hey, we've got it.
This is all those psychology books that I've read, the power of the subconscious mind, and all those things just in one. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I love how like your book that you just released. Like I love how it goes so perfectly with like the measuring the feelings and the moment, and I think like those two things paired together fit so well.
Absolutely. It's just so wonderful. But then how to just express your feelings, for those feelings that are real and but not helpful, like talk it out. You know, for me it would be speak up. You know, so those things I immediately thought of. I loved at the beginning that I was like, I'm about to learn something, because it was just like that whole, you know, you like set the stage for, like activated my brain for what I was about to learn. And so I had those, you know, those core ideas in my head throughout the book. And I really liked just having that up front, just knowing what I was getting into. And it was like, wow, it really set the stage for my learning. So I love that part of the book, just that part, that note in the beginning.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That we put that in there.
Yeah, that was amazing, because I was like, okay, let me sit back. I'm about to learn something. You know, and not just enjoy like a children's picture book. That was really like a learning. And then thinking about how, you know, a lot of us are transitioning to homeschooling. And, you know, so this is not just about, you know, this is about parents being able to have a way to connect with their kids during these times, which is so important, because so many of us are here with our kids all day long. And so, you know, so those real and helpful feelings. But so having a way to connect and just have a conversation with your kids about how they're feeling. I really thought of it, took my educator hat off for a minute and thought about it as a person and just with my own children.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because honestly, like, I'm not going to lie, I get, especially during this pandemic, like as an adult, I'm feeling so overwhelmed that I get really caught up in my own emotions. And I forget
Yes.
to ask my kids how they're feeling sometimes. And, and my kids are, I've got 2 in college and 2 in high school. And so they're old enough that, they come to me when they need something. But I do get so lost in my own overwhelm that I forget to ask anybody else what's going on. So this would be like a fantastic resource for parents to be able to at least start those conversations.
And I also love like just the personal touches, like the hat just remind me of like, for me, like a kid that holds on to something or wears something that just helps them emotionally. So the hat to me reminded me of just an object that it was connected. I felt that object was important to the story. I didn't know why until you explained it, but I felt like it was important, because you see how kids have this object and, they wear the same hat every day or they wear this bracelet. And you just felt that was a big part of the story. So I thought that was really neat to hear him explain how that hat came into the picture. That was really cool. Yeah,
that is fun. So mine was a unicorn t-shirt. I wore all of 1st grade every day. Like I didn't take that thing off. Did you have something?
I had different things. Like I went through different stages, like long, big flannel shirts was something that I always felt really good in, like a blanket. I always liked big, long, like shirts. I got out of that phase, but for a long time, that just made me feel comfortable. Like I was wearing a blanket all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Betsy?
I was a hoodie kid. Like if you gave me somebody, like especially if it was dad's or my brother's, like something bigger than I would usually wear, that was me.
Hoodies, huh? Yeah. I'll never forget that I stopped doing that kind of thing when I had a security blanket that I like sucked my fingers, I kid you not, until I was like 10 years old. And I had a security blanket. It was a rough go getting rid of that thing. And I used to carry it to school in my backpack. And one day I had a dream that kids broke into my backpack and took my security blanket and showed everybody and laughed at me. So that was it. That was all for that. Never went to school with me again. It was like another thing that I always brought to school was my security blanket.
I'm going to have a lot of these professional learning sessions about having conversations about some of those feelings that are real but not helpful. And so we have all this professional learning, and I just think that just makes it real, seeing it through the eyes of a child. It just makes it just so simple and just a lot easier than, some of I went through an extensive training about that actually. And I was like, man, if I would have read this book, it would just made it made it less intimidating.
Sure.
So for sure.
And I'm hoping that it makes it less intimidating for the kids, right? Because they have no idea what they're going through. They don't think that other people have that feeling. And then it's like I said with your book, like once you give them that context that other kids have this feeling, other adults have these feelings, and they have to sort them out. Like, can you imagine what it's like to be in that little body that's only been here for 5 years on Earth, to try to figure this out and navigate it? But they will digest the information at the same time. Like if you present it to them in a way that they can understand. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Just congratulations. I can't wait to get, dig into it with my kids. It was just a beautiful book. It was just such a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting that. And then when you explained like the imagination, I was like, how did I not catch that as I was, just the whole thing it was amazing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr. Joy. I love seeing you as always. So
yes, thank you. It was nice seeing you both.
Yeah, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
This is always like the hour that goes the fastest ever. Like that 1 minute right before we started when we were waiting took forever. This hour just passed by.
I know, I can't believe it.
Yeah, it is awesome. So you had spoken a little bit about, we do have to pick book winners actually as well. So what I'm going to do is just kind of scroll through and find, just like randomly pick 2 people to win the book. So we'll talk about that in a second as well. And you had kind of hit on this last question a little bit, but do you have anything else to say, like what the collaboration process was like for you in writing this book?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I mean, it was great to have Manuel on a little bit earlier, but the fact that you don't usually have somebody so dedicated to talk to you for more than 2 or 3 hours about what it is that we're trying to create. But like, it was almost like we would have these discussions, and then whatever came back was just like amazingly it. Like for instance, there was this time where we were talking about, we had done like a prerequisite kind of like, okay, this is what we want the characters to be like. But then he was like, well, tell me though, because I get that these are kind of abstract ideas, but we talked a lot about like these swirling images and like how weather can kind of represent feelings as well. So, I said, I want to see the balloon get really big. I want it to be like a hot air balloon. And then for the swirling, because usually like we have that feeling of like spinning thoughts, right? Sure. Or we have that feeling of a cycle of thoughts that's getting bigger and bigger, like almost like a tornado or a storm. And then this is my very favorite picture is where it all kind of resolves and like that storm calms down and you feel it and you can see it happening. Mm-hmm. I just think that being able to talk to someone and have him be able to like really clearly understand and then represent it back into the book is pretty amazing. That was some of the features, but also some of the collaboration that it was just amazing.
I also love his use of colors, with like blue being a calming color, and it's very intentional of the colors that he used to represent certain things. I think you should personally, I think you should learn to knit or crochet or whatever and start making those hats. And having everybody walking around in Aggie hats. So I have let's see. So I went through the comments. And I chose Andrew Easton.
Okay.
So I kind of just scroll through, and whoever I land on is who that is. So Andrew Easton.
Hey, Andrew.
And then also Kimberly, and it's ZAJAC. She was watching on YouTube. So Kimberly and Andrew, please.
Hi, Kimberly.
Yeah, so reach out to Betsy. You can either do it by emailing us at the email on the bottom of the screen. That's edumatchbooks@edumatchers.org, or you can visit Betsy's website. Do you want to say that address one more time, Betsy?
Sure, it's Betsy O'Neill-Sheehan. And so I'm going to hold this up because, maybe. There's no hyphen and there's no apostrophe, but O'Neill is spelled Oneill. That's where it can get confusing. Okay.
Yeah, you've got all the things going on in your last name. Like you've got apostrophes, really? Hyphens, and
then I'm Elizabeth sometimes. So like when people ask me what my name is, I'm like, I don't know, which one did I give?
Can I just give you half? and then Betsy's not your full name though either.
No, Elizabeth is.
Yeah, so there's a million ways you can go with that, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have aliases, and I don't even mean to.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, it was such a pleasure having you on today. And for anybody that is watching, don't forget that EduMatch gives out bulk discounts on books at only 10 books. So if you order a bulk set of this at 10 plus books, you are going to get a discount on that. And in order to do that, all you have to do is email us at edumatchbooks@edumatchers.org. You can find it at the bottom of the screen there. And again, Betsy, thank you so much and congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Mandy. It's been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.